Okay, so I decided to make a video and kind of talk through some of the stuff I'm working on. Um, and I guess the first thing I'll probably do is address some of the stuff I used to work on many years ago. Yeah, if you Google my name or you type my name into Amazon, you can get stuff that says Ave Malek. That was a role playing game, campaign setting, D20 game, that kind of pen and paper game stuff that I did back in 2006 that came out. That was when I was running a company called Morbid Games. We published a number of books. You can get a lot of those PDFs today for like $1 on, I think, Drive Through RPG and probably some other sites if they're still around. Basically, all that pretty much shut down 2009. The economy had gone to crap, and at the time, there was actually like a lot of role playing game sites that you used to be involved with, like Your Games Now and some other ones. All kind of went away. Some of them got purchased, like I think RPG Now got purchased by One Bookshelf, and then they rebranded everything with the Drive Through RPG site and stuff. But anyway, yeah, all of that stuff kind of went away. If you can find them, there's probably some PDFs. I think the one on Amazon is a hardcover. I guess the question is, am I gonna ever go back and do anything with that world? No. Honestly, working with print is just not something I really want to do unless I have to these days. But more importantly, like the way the D20 licensing is these days, I don't want to. It was a lot of work doing licensing. It's a lot of work getting artwork, getting writers, getting editors, everyone that needs to work on a role playing game, especially a campaign setting. And I just don't have the time or energy to do that. Plus, with the new licensing changes, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing more with Ave Malek the way it is. That said, I think having a dystopian steampunk fantasy weird west type world, mishmash of all the things, I do like that. I might do something else, and we'll probably talk about that, or I'll talk about that a little bit later here. But for Ave Malek, it was the thing I did in 2006. That all ended pretty much in 2009. And Hachi Araine, which I'll start talking about here, are what I've been working on the last few years and what is being released this Friday, October 20th, 2023. Um, so Hachi and Araine, I use those names a lot, or was using them a lot with some different fan fiction stuff I was writing for games like Warframe and Destiny. Um, Both games that I love. Obviously, I like sci-fi stuff as much as I like fantasy stuff. Hachi means eight, obviously. Araine is just a misspelling and mispronunciation of Aranya. Um, Other character names are pretty on the nose in my stories and books. I mean, Kumo, the AI, phonetically, that word means both spider or cloud. Obviously, the spelling is different, but that's what it is. And so I thought that would be a good name for an AI. And given that I'm doing the whole spider theme, that just kind of works as well. Um, Other names are pretty straightforward as well. Lamont, I didn't really even change the spelling other than removing the apostrophe. Lamont is a French word for the lover, obviously. Um, Mira and Sarah, those are just names that I liked. Mira means kind of a wondrous beauty. Sarah's considered like princess or nobility. And I thought Sarah made sense, at least the princess and nobility side, since like even though her character is like this scavenger type person, when you meet her, she's someone that did come from a prominent family, and has some body modifications to that kind of allude to that as well. And then other characters like Gemini, obviously two things in one. They, them, pronouns for that character. That's kind of some of that stuff there. The fan fiction side of things, really different. I always liked, I like games, so I start writing and I kind of create my own stories around my own characters within these different worlds. And, if anyone's read the Hachi and Araine stuff that I did with Warframe, that was basically, Hachi meets a girl named Sarah. They find some treasure, and then they go their separate ways. They go their separate ways, and they don't. Hachi does other things. It's alluded to Sarah doing other things. The two of them eventually come back together when Sarah is reaching out because she's been infected with a space virus. She is saved by Hachi, slowly deteriorates. They get the help of Lamont to kind of try and stabilize her. That works for a little while, but eventually she becomes dependent on painkillers and other regenerative drugs and things, and she ends up sacrificing herself to save Hachi, and then Hachi's life goes on with Lamont and their other escapades, and that's kind of the alums that are very similar. Obviously, the story is completely different. There is no virus that actually there is talk of a virus, but there is no virus that infects Sarah. And I don't want to do spoilers in right now, so I'll leave it at that. And then let's maybe shift gears a bit to the writing process before I get back more into the story. And at that point, I will give us a spoiler warning. But for right now, it's fine. I'm just going to talk a little bit about my writing process. Are you a plotter or a pantser? I am someone who does a little of both. I do like to have outlines. I like to have an idea of where my stories are starting and going. I will typically, when I was starting with the Dream series, I had this idea of dreams and the different types of dreams that people have. And I wanted to kind of align the story with the different types of dreams. And so I actually didn't write a lot of this in order. I wrote it out of order and then kind of restructured it accordingly. But the idea was I had these different 9 types of dreams, and that would represent each section or each part of each book. Each book was going to have 3 parts. Each part was going to have 10 chapters. There was always going to be, in each book, there was always going to be a couple chapters of the Luna Light character narrating. She's a character who, minor spoiler here, but, no one ever meets her. She's not interacting with anyone. She's just someone delivering news. And it's kind of a way to kind of tie things together with what the characters are doing and what's happening in the world at the same time. And so from there, I do plot out a lot of stuff. I also like to kind of take a map, and in this case, our solar system, and kind of say, okay, here's some interesting facts that now exist within these places. So, on Mars, these things existed or happened. On Titan, these things existed or happened. And I just start writing down ideas and stuff like that. A lot of the concepts, obviously there's a lot of Abrahamic faith concepts within my writing. There's a lot of personal reasons for that. I really like that type of universe in stuff. I think, originally when I was looking at names, I think I was actually going to pair the Tauborn and their golems I was actually going to name them after like angels and demons. So basically, you have your, seven archangels that are mentioned in the Book of Enoch, and then you have I was going to take the names of seven. Well, not seven. It was probably going to be like three or four demons, and then a couple like demonic type entities, like your Shadim and your Debuk and Mazakin. But and that was going to be the idea, right, of having this angel and demon that are tasked with working for mankind. Obviously, that didn't really happen. Things changed. There is some influence with some of the things that happen or are said or are alluded to, where there is connotations of that. But obviously, I didn't name the people, the beings, those things. So from here on, I'm going to talk a little bit about the story. I might throw out some spoilers, so if you want to be spoiler free, feel free to stop at this time. I understand if you are just tired of hearing my voice as well. It's super nasally. I don't speak very well. I don't like public speaking, but hence why you're looking at a video of a Mid-Journey generated fox in an eggshell with mushrooms. Anyway, so warnings aside, spoilers start now. Again, I'm a big fan of, science fiction and fantasy. Obviously there's little Easter eggs of things, within my books. In book 2, I have, most of my book is from the perspective of Hachi. You have, other chapters that are from other characters who are at least relevant or prominent to the story, for their viewpoints. I wanted to have, in book 2 specifically, I wanted to have something from the perspective of the AI. So, I did this faux JavaScript version of what's happening. And again, I'm a nerd. I've worked in like web ops for 10 years and then Martech for another, like 8 years now. So it's one of those things where I'm going to make fucking stupid little jokes with JavaScript and base 64 decoders and other random shit. So yeah, that was one of the things I did. There's also the chapter called 42. Obviously there's when they're trying to bring back Sarah to life, through making a clone of her, then transferring her consciousness from one body into her clone. That takes 42 attempts. Obviously in the Hitchhiker's Guide, the meaning of life, the universe, and everything was 42. That's why I named the chapter 42. So that's kind of what it alludes to there. There's other little things. There's a ship battle that happens. There's a mention of 3,404 ships that are destroyed. I don't know if it's still true today, but many years ago in EVE Online, there was a really large space battle, and I think the total tally for how many ships were destroyed in a single day at the time was 3,404. So that was just a thing that I, kind of wanted to reference as a thing for that. Obviously, at the end of book 3, there is, a message to base 64. Obviously, you can take that, put it into a base 64 decoder, and you'll figure out what Amrita said. If you didn't pick up on that, that's fine. You're probably not as big a nerd as some of us are. So yeah, so those are kind of some of the things. I've had some good feedback on the chapter Griff. I did want that one to be funny. I was actually trying to think of, like when I started writing it, I knew I wanted to have like a humorous chapter, but that also was, driving the story and didn't really take the reader. It would take the reader out of what was happening, but it would still be relevant to what was happening and tie back in. And I was kind of thinking of, there's this older movie, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, which is really funny if you like that kind of stuff. And so, I kind of had this back and forth between the two characters, and one's frustrated with the other, and some of that I think started turning more into like Pinky and the Brain and shit like that. But anyway, I think it worked out well. People seem to like it, so for the most part, I guess I did okay there. um, and yeah, so in book one, I don't think I really have too many references to stuff. That is the longer of the books. I think that one's at like not that it's really much longer than the others. I think that one came in at like 48,000, 47,000 words. And then book 2 and 3 are both around 45. So, but I mean, it's also the first book where I felt like I had to explain a little bit more of the story, right? Like the setting, like where you are, what time it is, a little bit of the history of things, because it's, alternate universe, sort of, like you'll mention, like within the book, there is no mention of things like God, heaven, hell. I try to be really agnostic about everything, even though there is very heavy, again, Abrahamic faith connotations within it. Little plays on stuff. So like, the war makes ruin of us all is I'd heard a quote like that. Well, obviously, George R. R. Martin had one, war makes monsters of us all. Destiny 2 actually has a sniper character that says, war makes ruin of us all at one point. And there's also in, there's other, anytime you have war stories, you always have this, war destroys us completely. I think there was another line that was really good that I'm forgetting right now. That was in All Quiet on the Western Front that was really similar as well. So I wanted to include something like that. So I did have, a character like reference that within book one. The Luna Light character, again, I'm a huge Warframe fan. Within Warframe, there's this personality where you get quests from on a weekly rotating basis, and this person is named Nora Knight, and she gives you quests, and she tells your character what to do, or for what rewards you're going to get that week. For different things. And sometimes she has like a story that's assigned to her. Like she'll have her own story that she's talking about, and then you as the player will play through elements of her story and things like that. I like the idea of having a DJ who is in the world but wouldn't actually interact with my characters. Like they would never meet. They weren't going to party up. They weren't going to talk to each other. They weren't going to have any interaction. But it was the easiest way to have, I felt like, characters can turn on the TV and they can learn something about the world. They can learn about, my character just did a number of different things within part one of the first book. And then you get to see how the world is reacting to those things happening by listening to this DJ or this talk show host. And so that's where kind of Luna Light kind of came from. So heavily inspired by Nora Knight, but also very different in her narrations and what her purposes. Yeah, so there's that. I think what is the thing? I don't know. I kind of feel like I've talked through all the talking points. If there's, questions, comments, things that people want to know more about once they've read the books and things like that, by all means, feel free to drop a comment below. If there's, if you read the book, obviously my email's in there, so you can email me if there's any issues or something that you came across. I'll try and work on those. I figure if there's changes or something like that needs to be made, I'll probably try and do those on like a quarterly basis. So, anything that comes into me before the end of the year, I'll put out an update like maybe January. And then the next one would be like maybe April, and then so on and so forth from there. So like every 3 to 4 months or something. If anything comes in, that's really going to hinder stuff. Other thing, what's next, I guess. So I have started writing, I have had ideas for the next trilogy. Again, it'll be Hachi Araine. Now, is that going to be, obviously, again, spoilers, Hachi and Araine obviously meet their end at the end of book 3, along with the first children, aliens out in the Draco system. So, what the fuck, right? So obviously the Base 64 message has alludes to there being another variant of Hachi and Araine. Is that the clone that's going to have her memories? Is it maybe her original body and that was the clone that died? Is it just her spirit placed into another body? Something of that nature. Or is it maybe Hachi and Araine are 2 of the 3 kids that she had with Sarah? Those are things all possible. Right now, I'm focusing on just kind of mapping out the world. It's probably going to take place in Alpha Centauri for the most part, at least. There probably will be some portion of it that takes place within Tau. Maybe we'll see. Right now, I'm in the process of, again, just kind of going through that world setting, map outlines, places of interest, names of characters I want to have, concepts. I'm thinking the concept this time around is probably going to be something to do with packs. Packs as in contracts. Probably make a bunch of project management jokes. Not a bunch, but at least a couple, maybe a few. Project management jokes in there. So yeah, we'll see. It's starting. It's coming along. I do want to focus on getting the feedback from this trilogy. Doing any updates that need to be done. I'm not really spending or focusing a lot of time on marketing because I do have like a day job and stuff that I do that keeps me pretty fucking busy, unfortunately. So my time and efforts are limited in these things, but that said, I will probably be doing more, and I'll probably post about it on my website in the blog area, thoughts at some point. And again, if anyone has questions, comments, whatever, leave a message below. And thank you for bearing with me and listening to this god-awful broadcast that I just rambled on about. And probably should write a script next time, or at least more than like 10 bullet points on a sheet of Google Doc paper. That's not paper. Anyway, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.